Morning, good afternoon, or good evening, depending on which part of the world you're in. My name is Joshua Hawley. I'm reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, and I am on chapter number 2 entitled Divinity and Divine Service. This is text number 30, 31, and 32. Original translations and purports by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, with original Sanskrit to English transliteration, English verse and purports. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskrityam Naram Cheva Narottamam Devim Sarasvatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudiret. Nasta Prayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhakti Bhavati Naistaki Srimatam Sukata Krishna Punya Shavana Kirtanaha Radianta Sto Yabhadrani Vidunoti Suritsatam Krishneswa Bhagavatam Punye. Forget the rest. Text number 30. Sa evedam sasar jagre bhagavan atmamaya sadasad rupaya chasau gunamaya guno vibhu. Sa evedam sasar jagre bhagavan atmamaya sadasad rupaya chasau gunamaya guno vibhu. Saha, that, eva, certainly, idam, this, Sasarja, created, Agre, before, Bhagavan, the personality of Godhead, Atmamaya, by his personal potency, Sat, the cause, Asat, the effect, Rupaya, by forms, Cha, and Asau, the same Lord, Gunamaya, in the modes of material nature, Aguna, transcendental, Vibhu, the absolute. Translation. In the beginning of the material creation, that absolute personality of Godhead Vasudeva, in his transcendental position, created the energies of cause and effect by his own internal energy. Purport. The position of the Lord is always transcendental because the causal and effectual energies required for the creation of the material world were also created by him. He is unaffected, therefore, by the qualities of the material modes. His existence, form, activities, and paraphernalia all existed before the material creation. He is all spiritual and has nothing to do with the qualities of the material world, which are qualitatively distinct from the spiritual qualities. And then there was an asterisk after the sentence, his existence, form, activities, and paraphernalia all existed before the material creation. The asterisk, Sripad Sankaracharya, the head of the Mayavad school, accepts this transcendental position of Lord Krishna in his commentation on Bhagavad Gita. Text number 31. Taya vila siteshveshu guneshu gunavaniva anta pravishta abhati viganena vidrim bitaha Taya vilasi teshveshu guneshu gunavaniva antaha pravishta abhati viganena vidrim bitaha Taya vilasi teshveshu guneshu gunavaniva Antaha pravishta abhati vigan ena vidrim bitaha taya, by them. Vilasiteshu, although in the function, eshu, these, guneshu, of the modes of material nature, gunavan, affected by the modes, eva, as if, antaha, within, pravishtaha, entered into, abhati, appears to be, viganena, by transcendental consciousness, vidrimbitaha, fully enlightened. Translation. After creating the material substance, the Lord, Vasudeva, expands himself and enters into it. Although he is within the material modes of nature and appears to be one of the created beings, he is always fully enlightened in his transcendental position. Purport. The living entities are separated parts and parcels of the Lord, and the conditioned living entities who are unfit for the spiritual kingdom are strewn within the material world to enjoy matter to the fullest extent. As Paramatma and eternal friend of the living entities, the Lord, by one of his plenary portions, accompanies the living entities to guide them in their material enjoyment and to become witness to all activities. While the living entities enjoy the material conditions, the Lord maintains his transcendental position without being affected by the material atmosphere. In the Vedic literatures, Shruti, it is said that there are two birds in one tree. One of them is eating the fruit of the tree, while the other is witnessing the actions. The witness is the Lord, and the fruit eater is the living entity. The fruit eater, living entity, has forgotten his real identity and is overwhelmed in the fruitive activities of the material conditions. But the Lord, Paramatma, is always full in transcendental knowledge. That is the difference between the supersoul and the conditioned soul. The conditioned soul, the living entity, is controlled by the laws of nature, while the Paramatma, or the supersoul, is the controller of the material energy. And there was another asterisk on the sentence. In the Vedic literature, Shruti, it is said that there are two birds in one tree. The asterisk refers to Dva Suparna Sayujas Sakaya Samanam Vriksham Parisashva Jate Tayor Anya Pipalam Svadyati Anashnam Anyo Vichak Ashiti. This is from the Mundaka Upanishad 3.1.1. Text number 32. Jita Yavahito Vanir Darushveka Swayonishu Naneva Bhati Vishwatma Bhuteshu Cha Tata Puman. Jita Yavahito Vanir Darushveka Swayonishu Naneva Bhati Vishwatma Bhuteshu Cha Tata Puman. Jita Yavahito Vanir Darushveka Yonishu Naneva Bhati Vishwatma Bhuteshu Cha Tata Puman. Jita, as much as, he, exactly like, avahitaha, surcharged with, vanihi, fire, darushu, in wood, ekaha, one, swayonishu, the source of manifestation, nana eva, like different entities, bhati, illuminates, vishwa atma, the Lord is Paramatma, bhuteshu, in the living entities, cha, and tata, in the same way, puman, the absolute personal. Translation. The Lord is Supersoul, pervades all things, just as fire permeates wood, and so he appears to be of many varieties, although he is the absolute one without a second. Purport. Lord Vasudeva, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, by one of his plenary parts, expands himself all over the material world, and his existence can be perceived even within the atomic energy. Matter, antimatter, proton, neutron, in all these one can perceive the manifestation of the Paramatma feature of the Lord by proper spiritual culture. As from wood, fire can be manifested, or as butter can be churned out of milk, so also the presence of the Lord as Paramatma can be felt by the process of legitimate hearing and chanting of the transcendental subjects, which are especially treated in the Vedic literatures, like the Upanishads and the Vedanta. Srimad Bhagavatam is the bona fide explanation of these Vedic literatures. The Lord can be realized through the oral reception of the transcendental message, and that is the only way to experience the transcendental subject. As fire is kindled from wood by another fire, the divine consciousness of man can similarly be kindled by another's divine grace. His divine grace, the spiritual master, can kindle the spiritual fire from the wood-like living entity by imparting proper spiritual messages injected through the receptive ear. Therefore, one is required to approach the proper spiritual master with receptive ears only, and thus divine existence is gradually realized. The difference between animality and humanity lies in this process only. A human being can hear properly, whereas an animal cannot. Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai.